Today our topic of discussion is dealing with text file and CSV file in Python. Today, instead of the theoretical part, we will focus on the practical part. So first I will start from how to deal with a text file. So this is the piece of code that I am going to show you today. Now see, whenever we are dealing with any specific kind of file, whether it is a text file or CSV file, first we have to understand how to open or how to read that specific file. First we will start from text file. So now we will learn how to open a text file, how to write inside a text file, everything. So now let's start with the concept that how to open a particular text file. Now remember one thing, before starting this code, I want to tell you one important point. That is, today we will learn how to create a text file. Means I am assuming that the text file is not in my system. I will create it. Now, if you see this kind of code, here what I have done, I have used one specific function that is open. Open is a function, and inside this open function, there is two specific part. The first part contains a path. See, this is C colon users and my name and then desktop, and then we have the name of the file. So here my point is, whenever you are going to create or open a specific text file, you have to give the path name. Path name means the location where you want to create the text file, and then you have to give the text file name, and then you have to give some specific mode. Now what is this mode, we have to understand. Now, while opening or creating a text file, we have to use a particular function open. So here my point is, whenever you are dealing with a text file, first you have to use one variable name. Say f is the variable name, and after that you have to use this function open. Now while using this open function, you have two parts. In the first part, you have to write the path name, means the location, as well as you have to write the file name. Whatever file you are going to create, you have to give the file name. And then you have to mention a mode. This is a very important thing, and we will discuss on this. So now see the code. Here, the most important point is this one, A. What is this A symbolizes? This thing we have to understand. So here my point is, in Python, there are 6 methods of access modes. Means whatever file we are going to create, what is the purpose of creating that file? Means whatever file I'm creating, whether I'm going to write onto it or it is just only a read-only purpose file. So this thing we have to clarify. So here my point is, in case of Python, we will find as an access mode, the first very popular access mode is R and R+. First, you have to understand what is the meaning of this two access mode. So R means this mode only opens the text file for read-only purpose. This is the important point. But here you have to remember one more point, that it raises input output error if the file does not exist. Means if you are going to use this R mode, then you have to assume that the text file should exist in a specific location within your computer. Otherwise, it will give you an error. This is the most important point. Now, what is this R plus? If you are using R plus, it is known as read write mode. Read write mode means if you are using this mode, means whatever file you are opening, use this open function, This file is created for both reading and writing purpose. So this is the important point. And again, it will give you input output error if file does not exist. So what is the common feature within this two mode? Whenever you are using this to mode, you have to ensure that this text file must be created beforehand. Then we have W and W plus mode. It is known as write only mode. Write only mode means if we are using this mode means it will open the file for writing purpose only. And W plus means it will open the file for both reading and writing purpose. So this is the important point. But see, in my code, I haven't used R plus, W or W plus. Instead of this 4-axis mode, I have used A. So remember this point, this A is another important access mode which is very beneficial, and most of the time programmer prefer to use this A access mode. What is this? This A access mode is known as append only access mode. APPEND. Append only access mode. Now this mode allows the file to be opened for writing. This is the most important point. See, whenever we are creating any text file, what is our purpose? Our purpose is to create the file and then write something inside the file. So it is always better to open the file in append mode, as it allows the file to be opened for writing. This is the most important point. And now I'm telling you the second property of this A access mode is that if the file does not exist, a new one gets created. Now this is another benefit. See, for R plus, R, W and W plus, we are assuming that the file is already created by the programmer. Then only you can use those modes. But if you are using A as an access mode, it is fine. If your file is created, it can work. But if your file is not created, then it will create the file and then it will start performing. So this is the second benefit. What is that? If the file does not exist, a new one gets created due to this A mode, right? And then the third property is the newly written data will be added at the end of the file. So this is the most important three features of A mode. So here I am preferring A mode in order to access my first text file. As I haven't created any text file, so it is expected that since I am using this A mode, it will automatically create the text file. Now, here I am going to create this text file onto my desktop. So I have given the path of the desktop. So this is the location of the desktop. But see, try to understand, it is a most important thing that whenever you are providing the path, always you have to use double slash. See, here we have double slash. So remember this point, in any programming language, whenever you are trying to access any file, then whenever you are giving a path or location, always you have to use double slash instead of single slash. In some programming language, in Python also, single slash works, but it is beneficial if you give this double slash. It will definitely work, right? So I think the first part is clear, how to create a text file for writing purpose. So you have to use open function, then give the path name and then the file name. Test.txt is the file name. Here you can give any name according to your choice, and txt is the extension of the text file, and the mode should be A. This is the important thing. Now if you execute this one, before executing this one, I'm showing one thing. See, onto my desktop, there is no such text file which is known as txt. After executing the code, this text file will be created. Now see, I'm executing this line. So after execution, I am expecting that a test.txt file will be created. See, a test.txt file is created onto my desktop. But since we have created this file or opened this file in append mode, but we haven't write anything, so a blank file is created. So according to my discussion, I hope it is clear that beforehand there is no text file in my programming. Since I'm opening my file in append access mode, it is creating the text file. And since no data is inserted, so as a result, we have a blank text file. Now come to the next part. See, after creating the file, what is the most important purpose of us? Now we have to write inside the file. But try to understand, I have created one more piece of code here. See, I have used another variable file too. Then I have used again the open function, and then I have used R. See, I have written small r, then the same thing, the path, and then the writing mode is W plus. So what is the meaning of this line? So this is another option. See, this is the file that I have created. And here I am creating a reference of that file. Reference means you can say that backup of the file. Means whatever file I have created in the desktop, I am creating a reference of that file. So reference of that file, for that purpose, R symbolizes the reference of the text file. So basically file 1 is holding the file test.txt. File 2 is also holding the same file test.txt. So this is a backup file of file 1. So this thing you can also do. Okay. And why I have opened this file in W plus mode? I have already explained that W plus mode can only be used when we are assuming that the file is already there in some specific location. Since we have executed this line, the file is created. Now the file do exist in the specific location in my machine. So that's why after that I can use W plus mode. So that's why I'm telling that W plus mode can only work if the file is already there in the machine. So it is just creating another same file, but the file 2 is holding the backup file, reference file. So this thing you can also do. Now come to the most important part. Now we understand what is the meaning of this line. But I have performed one more important thing, that is file1 dot close. So after creating a file, why I have used this file1 dot close? This file1 dot close is used to close that file. Means my point is, whenever you are writing this line, a text file will be created. Now, if you try to delete this file, say after creating you feel like deleting this file. So if you try to delete this file, it will show you an error, that is try again. Why? Because while creating this file in append mode, the file is now opened. Open so that it could accept some write-up from your end. So if you are not closing this file, then you are not be able to delete this or remove this file. So try to understand, after creating a file, you have two responsibility. First, opening the file and then closing the file. So for opening the file, you can write the variable name, which is holding the file location and the file itself, file1 dot open function, and then explicitly you can write file1 dot close function. So unless and until you are closing the file explicitly, means by writing the code, the file will remain open, right? So file1 dot close function is used to close the file. But try to understand one point, what is our agenda? This is not our agenda. Our agenda is to create a text file and then write something onto it. So This part is the most important part. Please pay attention to this. After creating the file, this is the first step. So here, since my file is already created, so I am just opening this file in W mode, means in writing mode. So you can use W plus also. Now here I have used one variable capital L and I have written something. And try to understand whatever I have written, it is within third bracket. So what is it? So the important point is, after creating a file, the next step is how to put content inside the file. So in the previous class, you have learned about lists. List means it is a kind of data type in Python that can hold any kind of data type. String, say ABC, number 234, anything. So it can hold any number and mix and match of this kind of number. Means there is no restriction that what kind of data it can hold, and always list will be depicted by square brackets. So here what is my objective? My objective is, after creating a text file, we have to supply some data inside it. So I am basically supplying data inside the text file in form of a list. Now see the code. After creating the file, now this is how I am passing the data. What is the data? See, this is Delhi. This is the first line. Then slash n. In the next line, I'm writing this is Paris. Next line, then I'm passing this is London. Now pay attention to this. This part is a string. That's why this part is written within double quotes, then comma, then another string within double quotes, comma, then another string within double quotes. So basically capital L is a list which is having three strings, right? And I am expecting that these three strings will be appended or inserted into the file test.txt that I have right now opened in writing mode. And also see, I have done two important things. After writing this list, how to put this list into the file. See, whenever you are writing this list, it does not imply that it is going into the file. It is just a list declaration. Means these values I want to insert into the file. Now, how to insert it? Actually, we have two specific functions, both can operate on this file. Means if you want to insert any string inside the text file, you have two options. Either you use write function or you use write line function. Now we have to understand the difference between these two functions carefully. But for the time being, please note that if you want to insert any sort of information inside a file, you have to use either write or write lines function. Here I am using both, then we will try to differentiate. So what is the algorithm of creating a text file and inserting element into the text file? First, create the text file, then create the content inside the list that you want to insert, and then for writing purpose use any one of the function, write or write lines. But here see, you can differentiate between write and write lines from this code. How? See, if I write function, using write function I can append another string, say hello. But see, if I use write lines function, then I can pass the list. So L is the list which is holding three string, right? And here I am passing capital L. So basically I am passing three strings inside this write lines at once. How? The write lines function will accept this capital L as a parameter. It means if I use write lines function, then at a once it will insert this three component into the file. But if I use write function, then it can only allow one string, say hello, inside the file. So which one is beneficial? Always use write lines function, because inside write lines function I can pass a list data structure. That is this one. And the size of this list can be anything. Instead of 3 string, I can enter 5, 10, 8 strings. Then you can use either write function or write lines function. So hopefully, according to our discussion, we will prefer to use write line functions. And then this is the most important point. After operating on the file, what you have to do? You have to close the file. Do not forget to write this line. If you forget to close the file will remain open and you will not be able to delete that file. Okay, so file closing is important. So let's execute the code. And now, after executing this code, I am expecting that a text file is created, and whatever data I want to insert, it is already inserted into the text file. But there is one important point. After writing this code, if you want to see the output here, means wherever you are writing the Python code, at the same spot, if you want to see the output, then you have to write this one. So you just open the file again in R plus mode. Means the file is created and ready to write. We have written something, and whatever we have written in the list, it is inserted into the file and the file is closed. Now you want to see the content of the file. If you want to see the content of the file, open the file in R plus mode. Means you can read the file, also you can write something. Then if you want to see the output, just write down file1.read function. So what is the purpose of this? If you are using this read function, it will allow you to read the content of the file that you have created just now. And if you write print only, then you will be able to see whatever you have written inside the file, everything is displayed. So basically try to understand, after creating a file, you have two options. Either you can check the created file, or else if you want to see the content of the file here at this console, you have to use read function. But before using read function, you have to open the file in R plus mode. So here is the output. You can see this output over here. So inside the text file, see, it is also inserted. Hello, this is Delhi, Paris, and this is London. So the file is created, data is inserted. Either you can check from the file or else you can check it from here. Now we will go to the next part, that is how to deal with CSV file, right? See, before dealing with CSV file, two questions are very important. How this CSV file will look like, and what is the importance of CSV file? Means why should we work on CSV file? Now I will give a beautiful answer of this too. The first thing is how this CSV file will look like. See, this CSV file will look like this. CSV file means it looks like almost Excel file. So CSV file will look like one Excel file. But what is the difference between CSV file and Excel file? So I have already explained that whenever you are writing a text file, you have to give some name of the text file and then you have to give the extension. For text file, the extension will be txt. But what is the extension of CSV file? The name of the CSV file dot CSV. It is the extension. Now what is the full form of the CSV? C stands for comma, S stands for separated, V stands for values. So comma separated value format is known as CSV format, and it is the most common data storing file. Means whenever we want to store any data inside a file, we prefer to use CSV file over text file. Now why? The first importance is CSV file stores data in a tabular format, and data fields are separated by delimiter, comma most of the time, but since it is the processed file, so we will have, see, some column names are there. See, it is clear. And inside each and every column, we have some values. So it is a tabular form. Why it is a tabular form? Because we have some columns and we have some rows. Means here we have basically 5 columns and how many rows? See here we have almost 151 rows. See, 151 rows. But you can ask me one question. Okay, ma'am, we got it. That CSV file means comma separated value files. Fine. It stores data in tabular format, means in column and row format. That is also fine. But whatever information it is storing, what is this information is all about? See, this information is about some flower. Now, what is this? First, try to understand why this kind of files are so popular among us. Now, I am showing you one picture. This is a picture of a flower, and this flower is known as iris flower. Now, if you carefully notice these three flowers are basically three category of iris flower. Means in India we have rose, we have different kinds of rose, red rose, yellow rose, white rose. But if you see carefully, the shape of the red rose, the shape of the yellow rose, they are almost same. Only the difference is color. So by visualizing it by our own eyes, we can separate it. But see, if you follow the iris flower, see these three flowers are almost same. What is the difference? See, the petal length, petal width and sepal length, sepal width. They are different. And color is not very different. All are violet, but we have difference of shades in between them. So in that case, these iris flowers are basically of having three types. The first type is known as setosa, second type is known as versicolor, and the third type is known as virginica. These are the different types. Now, if I want to store information about this flower for my further research, which kind of file should I follow? Basically, I follow CSV file. Why? See, sepal length, sepal width, petal width of a specific flower is stored over here. Means if I am talking about setosa, so this is the first category, setosa. If I want to store information about this flower in my CSV file, means width of the petal, width of the sepal, how could I store like this? So setosa is the first type and the first length of the sepal is 5.1. Sepal width is 3.5. Petal length is 1.4. Petal width is 0.2. So for all the setosa flower, we have different kinds of petal length, petal width and sepal length, sepal width. Similarly, I can store information about the second category, versicolor. And then I can also store the information about the third category of the flower, virginica. So here my point is, if I want to do my research on any species or any flower of any kind of variety, I can store information about individual category. So this is category number 1. I can easily store in the tabular format in CSV file. Now, here what we have to learn? Here we have to learn how to read this CSV file. Reading CSV file is not so easy. So, whenever we are reading a text file, it is simple. You just have to write this code. But whenever you are dealing with a CSV file, you have to use one particular function, pd.readCSV. But this line you can only write if you can write this line, import pandas as pd. Now what is this? Try to understand, this pandas is a module. Module means you can think of it as a repository like this. So inside this module, we have so many functions. And if I want to use any one of the particular function, I can pick it from this pandas module. So how to use this pandas module? I have to use the keyword import. Import means I am going to use this repository, this module. Import which module? Pandas module. Now see, this word pandas is so long. Means if I am going to use this word in my coding, each time I have to write pandas, pandas, and sometimes it may happen a spelling mistake can occur. So we can use the nickname of this module as PD. Means instead of writing this long word, I can use a short name which is known as PD. So in the programming, if I write PD, the programming will understand, okay, it is the nickname of the pandas module. This as, it is also a keyword which is known as alias. This alias is used to give a nickname or short name of the module. And what is this module? Module is a repository in which we have several functions. Now see the code. So import, it is the keyword. Why I am using this keyword? In order to use this module pandas. This word is so long, so I am using the alias as. It is also a keyword, and PD is the nickname of this pandas module. Module means it is a collection of some functions. Which function? Actually, I need this function, read underscore CSV. So please note, whenever you are going to read any CSV file, the function name is read underscore CSV. And what is the location of this function? This read underscore CSV function exists inside the module pandas. So if I write pd dot read CSV, PD means the nickname of the pandas. Inside PD, we have this read underscore CSV. That's why I'm writing PD dot read CSV. And then again the same mechanism I will use over here. Here we have to write the path name from where I'm going to read the CSV file, and then we have to give the name of the CSV file where the extension will be CSV, comma separated value. So this is the path, or this is the location where I have the CSV file, and this is the CSV file name that I'm going to access. I'm just showing it to you. So try to understand, whenever you are going to read a CSV file, this file should exist inside a specific location. So in my case, this is my D drive. Inside my D drive, I have a folder which is known as iris. Inside this folder, I have this iris.csv. So what is the location? This is the location, that is under D drive. Under iris folder, I have this iris.csv file. And see, in the code, I have written the same thing. Under D drive, under iris folder, I have this file iris.csv. And again, you have to use double slash. So my point is, read underscore CSV function is used to read a CSV file which is already stored in a specific location in my machine. And you have to use a variable data which is basically holding this CSV file. Now, after opening the CSV file, you have to store it inside a variable data. Here, this variable name can be anything. D, A, B, C, D. I have used this name data. So, what are the steps of this algorithm of opening a CSV file? First, write import pandas as PD, and then use a variable, and variable equal to, then just write PD dot read underscore CSV, and then the location or path, and then the file name. And everything will be within single quotes. This is the important point. So up to this, we know how to read this CSV file. Now, if you want to see the CSV file, actually this variable is holding this CSV file. Now, if you type the name of this variable over here and then run the code, see, it will show the file. And also it is showing some statistics, 150 row and 5 column. And see, it is showing 5 column and 150 row. See the file? So this is 5 column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and see we have 150 elements. Why 150 elements? See, the first one is the column name. From location 2 we have data. So here we have 2 to 151. This amount of data, how many rows are there? Therefore, we will have 150 rows. And this statistics is showing over here. It is known as data dimension. So after reading the CSV file, if you want to see the CSV file, just write the name of this variable over here and then run the code. It will show the partial view of the data, but it will also show the dimension of the data. See, it is visible. 150 row and 5 column. Now, if you want to see the statistics of the data, means information about the data. What is information? I'm showing. Then you have to write the variable name dot info. Info is the short form of information. It will extract the data information. Means this is sepal length, sepal width, petal width. What kind of data we have? Actually, they are having floating point data or float data. See, check over here. Under this columns, what is the type of data we have? These are the floating point data and these are the string data. So if you write this code data.info, it is showing this row is holding floating point data, this row and this row, all of them are holding floating point data, and variety column is holding object data. So here my point is this string data is considered as object data in Python. So under variety column, whatever string we have, Python is treating them as an object, and inside this column, whatever value we have, they are the floating point value. So by using this info function, it can show the statistics of the data, means the data type. Okay. And it is showing float 64 in Python. Float is depicted as float 64 and string is depicted as object. So it is showing the data information. Also, it is showing one beautiful information, memory usage. See how much memory is used for storing this data. It is also showing. So this is the information we can extract from the CSV file. Now we have one beautiful option. Now again, if you use the variable name in which you have read the CSV file, that is the data, if you write data.describe, it will show some statistical insight. Statistical insight means count, mean, standard deviation and everything. So count means how many data, how many row you have. We have 150 row, so it is showing 150 row. Means under separ length we have 150 data. We have already checked. Again, under this column we have also 150 data, under this column 150, under this column 150. So it is showing, see, count. Under each column we have 150 data. Then mean of those data. Under this column, what is the mean of the data? Mean of the data means add all data and divided by 150. So basically it will show some data statistics. What is the mean value? What is the maximum value? What is the standard deviation we have? This kind of statistics we can show using describe function. So in the exam, there will be one question. What is the difference between info and describe function? Info function means it will show the information about the data type, that is float or object, and memory usage. And by using describe function, it will show the data insight, means statistics of the data, means internal details of the data. So these two functions are entirely different. I have started this class in order to show how to read a CSV file, how to deal with a CSV file, and why these CSV files are important.